Steph Fernandez, nice to see you. Wait, where'd you just go? I saw you and now you're gone.
I'm here.
There you are.
Yes.
Give us a
Nice
gratitude.
to see you, and nice to see some familiar faces from our Empower group. I'm grateful. Literally, for this community, I was in a call yesterday looking for a mastermind. And while I was talking to that lady, I'm like, this sounds what my alumni is. Like, am I really looking for something? I already have it. So I'm really grateful for these check-ins and these calls that we have also in the alumni and this free coaching. So that's really nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have two questions. One is related to time management. I recently went back part-time to my old job. I work now again for the UN, which is really exciting. I love it, but I still have my clients. But I also feel torn with these two mindsets of working for someone else and then working for myself and promoting my business. And the other one is related to membership. If you could talk a little bit about that, what's important and what I should consider if I even would consider doing that.
Yeah. So with the first question of mindset, is it really how am I supposed to show up for my business when I have a job, or how am I dealing with the time management of the two things? Like, just kind of unpack what the question is.
Yeah, I feel a bit floating with it. So I'm really pulled by my job because there's someone telling me what to do, and I know my to-dos and tasks, and I'm traveling a lot. And I feel floating away from my own business a little bit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's Monday and I have like 5 clients. I'm like, but what do I need to do? How is this going to work?
Yeah. Yeah. This is a great question. So it's funny, a lot of us want to be our own bosses. That's why we become entrepreneurs and then we become our own boss. And there is definitely like a little noise here that goes, well, it would be nice to have a boss. Like sometimes you're like, man, if I could just clock in and clock out and someone could tell me what to do, right? Because there's just also so much to do in your business. I just put a post up on Instagram right before this call. Y'all should go to the post because I did say in the post, promote your business. I want you to promote your business in the comments. But I said, if you chose to get into business, you chose to get into marketing. And marketing is one of the departments that you actually have to do as a business owner. And a lot of us, especially on this call, are solopreneurs, meaning we work by ourselves. We don't really have teams yet. So what I would do is I would get really clear on, there's a couple things. Number one, what is an income producing activity? Because when we're in our businesses, we can all spend a lot of time doing the do. Like we can all play on Canva for 9 hours and not really do anything. That's not income producing. We also can do coaching calls all day, which also isn't really income producing if it's already a paying client. So I would get clear on sort of what are the income producing activities that I would need to do for my business. Tiffany was just saying, outreach to follow up to people. That's an income producing activity. Promoting yourself, marketing on social media, writing promotional emails. These things are going to be more income producing, depending on what you do and how you are on stages and podcasts, speaking, going on like a speaking tour about your different offers, coaching in other people's programs that they allow you to then talk about your offers at the end. Like these are more income producing activities. So I get really clear on like what is income producing and then what is not, just so you can kind of get clear there. And then I would also just start to look at, because you're also working a 9-to-5 job, like what is the most important thing for your business right now? Is it to maintain it and just like keep it running? Or are you trying to actively grow it? It might not be the best season to be trying to actively grow your business if you're also now back in a 9-to-5 job. So you have to look at yourself and say, what do I have capacity for? And then what is most important for me? If this is just a maintenance season, maybe I'm just maintaining the clients that I have. I say bare minimum in quotes, because none of you should be doing bare minimum, but what is the bare minimum that I would need to do to maintain those clients? So then going through that, it's like, well, what does the onboarding look like? What does the coaching look like? What does the offboarding look like, right? The other thing that I'll say, and we're not going to get into like a full training here, but every business really has 3 different departments. So work with me visually here. I don't have like the one time I don't have a whiteboard next to me. That's crazy. I do have Post-it notes, but I don't have a whiteboard. Okay. So let's visually just use Post-it notes for a second. Can you all play with me here? Are we good with that? Okay. So every company has the same structure, whether it's Amazon or my business or your business. We all have the same structure. You just might not realize it. Up at the top is going to be like you're the founder, the leader, the coach, whatever, call yourself the visionary, the CEO. Under you, there can be other people that are going to be working and stuff, but there's ultimately 3 departments. And I'm going to write this down for you. So the first department is going to be on the left, and it's going to be called the growth department. So anything in your company or your business on the left side, this is the growth department. I wrote the word growth on it. It might be hard for you to see. Okay. In the growth department, anything that happens before the sale. So think about everything that you do in your business that is happening before the sale. So get involved, use the chat box because you learn better when you're active and engaged. What are some things that we do in our businesses that are before the sale? What would be in growth? Growing your team, growing your audience, growing your income, growing your impact. What's happening before people buy into your programs? What are you doing? What are the tasks that you're doing? Go ahead, see if anyone can write some of them in the chat box. I'll give you one to get you started. Very good. Newsletter, messaging, creating content, posting on social media, doing podcasts, going on other people's podcasts, speaking on stages, putting out free opt-ins, right? Your freemiums or your lead magnets, market research. All this stuff is happening before someone buys. This is all under the growth department. In the middle, you have your operations department. So I put OPP. Your operations department is going to be like payments, legal, financial, HR, like that operations, legal, financial, that type of stuff. And then on the right is going to be your fulfillment. So I wrote the word fill or full. Your fulfillment could be called customer success. It could be called customer support. It could be called fulfillment. Anything that's happening in fulfillment happens after the sale. So let's drop operations for a minute, because especially as solopreneurs, that's you. You're all doing the operations. You're doing your own bank accounts and stuff like that, right? So we have growth is before the sale. Fulfillment is after the sale. What happens after the sale that you're doing in your business? So think about it. This would be like client-facing type stuff. So what are we doing with our clients? What are we doing after people have purchased? Coaching calls. We're delivering on the promise. We're sending the ebooks. We're sending the PDFs. We have email sequences that are going out. We're onboarding the clients. We're sending surveys. We're collecting testimonials. We're offboarding the clients. Maybe we're sending them another offer, like a bump or an upsell, right? Or if you're in a bigger business, like ours is a little bit bigger, in fulfillment, we also have an entire coaching staff. So me monitoring and managing our coaching staff falls under fulfillment. So I'm training the coaches, I'm having coaches meetings, right? So if you look at your business as really these 3 sections, we have before the sale and after the sale, and then all the operations. Can you also get really clear without overwhelming yourself, but like, what are the things that I need to do in each of these departments? There's the growth stuff, and then there's the fulfillment stuff. Most of us love the fulfillment stuff because that's what we do. We're coaches, we're service providers. That's so easy. I could be on coaching calls all day. I don't have to prep for this. But we don't want to get stuck there because that's not usually where the income comes in. So stretch yourself, right? So what I would do in terms of like balancing your schedule and stuff is really start to figure out, what are the tasks that I need to do under growth? What are the tasks that I need to do under fulfillment? And then what I would do is eat the frog. So do the harder ones first, right? Like it's so easy. Again, like I'm going to fill my schedule with coaching calls. It's like, cool, but when are you going to write the promotional emails? Wow, I don't want to do that. So I kind of would look at it that way. So what's income producing? What has to happen in growth? What has to happen in fulfillment? The fulfillment likely is already happening. So where are we with growth? Does that make sense?
This was excellent. I mean, thank you. This was
Welcome.
so helpful. I was trying to get my head around how do I do this, and this was really helpful.
Awesome. And then we can take it a step further. Who here has done my masculine, feminine, energy, productivity trainings? Some of them are in Empower, some of them are opt-ins that we have. So our brains all have masculine and feminine sides, has nothing to do with how you're born or what you identify as. Every task is either a more masculine task, so very logical, A to B, black and white, or it's a more feminine task, very creative, very flowy. You can, in a perfect world, we'd all have these perfect, amazing schedules, but you can try to separate your schedule out in a way that if you have an hour before work to work on your business, what I would suggest is stay in the same type of task. So an example of masculine tasks would be forward thinking, planning, launch calendars, bookkeeping, like that type of thing. More feminine tasks would be coaching calls, creating a program, getting on Canva and making a slideshow, very, very creative stuff. When we bounce back and forth from masculine to feminine, it is more draining on us. It's also harder to focus as we jump from one to the other. And we've all done that, right? Like you're in the middle of writing this email and you're in this flow, and then you get a phone call about like your roof is getting replaced and they have to like do something, and you're just like, and you can't get back into flow. There's like a struggle to get back into flow. The brain actually, science shows, there's studies that show it takes 22 minutes for your brain to actually be able to come back to wherever you were. Meanwhile, we're all out here trying to multitask like 400 things, but it's like, it's draining your energy. So I would say, especially for someone like yourself who is working a 9 to 5 or maybe a busy parent, if you have smaller brackets of time, be really mindful of like, okay, for this 40 minutes, I'm just going to see how much of this email or how many emails I can get out, period. End of story. Later in the day, okay, now I have 45 minutes. Maybe I'm going to sit down and like check my books and do my bookkeeping. So I would just try to keep your tasks separate as well. Okay. And then you had a second question and it was about memberships. Cool. Are you all cool if I riff on memberships for a second? Would that be helpful? Okay. Well, lucky for you, our brand new membership is about to open. So we have been in the weeds, and this is not our first membership. We've had memberships before in the past. Many times we've turned them on, turned them off, and here we are again. So let's chat memberships. Oh man. Okay. So much to say about memberships. I'm going to give you just a couple quick like do's and don'ts, if you will, for memberships. The biggest thing with a membership is if people aren't using it, they'll stop. Like I was going to try to say something cute, but like there's no run. If they don't use it, you'll lose it. Like if they're not using it, they're going to quit. Period. End of story. We've all done this, right? You see the charge come through 1 month. You're like, what the heck is that? And you're like, oh my God, I've been paying $40 a month for this thing. How many months have I been paying for it? I didn't even know I was still in that thing. This just happened to me the other day with an app. We do it with apps too, right? You pay for those apps. It's like 1 week free and then it automatically charges your Apple ID and you forget about it. And 9 months later, your husband's like, babe, what's this? Maybe just happened to me last week. Mike was like, you've been paying for this for like 3 years. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't used it in like 4. Okay. So if they don't use it, they will stop. And so a huge mistake people make with memberships is they put too much information in a membership. We feel like our egos are like, okay, I have to give people everything. If I give people everything, they'll think it's valuable and worth it. But what happens is someone logs in and they go, oh, I don't have time for this, or I don't know where to start, or I'm so overwhelmed. I'm never going to get through this. And so they don't log in. So I would say with memberships, less is always more. You do not need to give them everything in the kitchen sink. You do not need to give them every program you've ever created. They likely will not go through it. And that in itself sort of devalues the membership because it's like, okay, you're charging me like $60 a month and you just gave me 47 different programs. Like, how good are they? They couldn't possibly be. They're obviously worth so much more. So be mindful about that. Another thing with memberships, and this goes for anything, any offer, when somebody buys, if they don't get an instant win, I'm talking instant, like from the purchase, if there is not a win, emotionally, we start to create buyer's remorse. And this is where people will then email you a day or two after they buy. And they're like, wait a minute, never mind. I don't think this is the right fit. Can you refund me? So I'm going to use ourselves as an example, because this is not just memberships. This is everything. Empower, which is our signature program. We actually, from the day that we close the doors for Empower, because we only open once a year, we actually don't start for another 3 weeks. There's a 3-week gap of time. That's a huge gap of time for people to email and say, OMG, I was drunk. I didn't mean to buy it. Can you refund me? Right? Like my spouse is mad, whatever. So we make sure that the second somebody purchases it, even on the purchase page, they're emotionally getting a win. There's something that's already happening. So it's great to send out like, congrats, you're in, you did it. But that doesn't make me feel like I won anything. That doesn't make me feel like I've transformed. So congrats, you did it, you're in is great. Now here's your first step. Join the Facebook group. Here's your first step. Download this PDF. And when you do, you've done your first homework assignment. High five. And then it's like, okay, cool. Wow, I did it. I got past the first step. And then what we do, because there's a 3-week break, we have a lot of Empower people here, is we give you content, we drip out content for 3 weeks and you have homework for 3 weeks. But we're not just giving you homework because that's like shoving more information down your throats. We're giving you the ability to have wins along the way. So we're giving you homework and then there's like a checklist and like, oh, I did a thing, check it off. Oh, cool, I did something else, check it off. Or when you're inside of Empower, we have a bingo board. And every time you complete something on the bingo board, you get to check it off. This is very intentional. It makes people feel like they're actually moving through the content. So in reference, in context to a membership, I feel that that's even more important because memberships are lower touch points, right? It's a lower proximity to the leader. Memberships are about the community. And so when someone comes into a membership and there's 4,000 different trainings and they're super overwhelmed and there's all these people, it's really easy for someone to feel really lost and like they're not getting wins. So quick wins, quick transformations as soon as they buy, not a lot of information inside of the portal. The other thing that I would say with memberships is a lot of people just open them and they're like, here's a membership, you should join. Like any offer, a membership should still create a solution to a problem. So like what's the one problem that your client is having? How is this membership going to get them the result? What's the vision of this membership? How's it going to feel? Why should your audience be a part of it? And then we can talk about like the delivery of it, right? Like, so are there live calls? Is it just community? Are you involved? Are you not involved? What does that look like? Are they getting instant access? Is it dripped out over time? Making them feel significant inside of the membership. So how can you make your members and community members feel really seen and heard? How do you continue to foster and build relationships? The cool thing about memberships is a lot of times when members, and this happens even inside of Empower, I'm very proud of it, but when they connect with each other, they stay longer. So what happens is virtually or in person, you have this, like I saw before, Tiff was like class 18 in the house, like woohoo, there's like a pride there. There's like, yeah, I was class 18. We connected with each other. Some of y'all are still doing like calls together and accountability. If we were to host a retreat or a live event, what happens is a lot of people in the community then go, are you going? If you go, I'll go. We should go together. Let's get an Airbnb, right? You want to create community inside of your membership because then they won't want to leave. Well, I can't leave. Stuff's in there. Tiff's in there. Claudia's in there. I don't know. I got to stay, right? So you want to get them enrolled in the community and then work on building your community, which that's a whole other conversation that we can have. And you want to make sure that the material you are giving them is digestible and it speaks to where they're at. Some of it can speak to where they want to go, a little bit of it. Like 10, 20% can speak to where they want to go because it's aspirational and inspirational. But again, your membership should be solving a singular problem. And so there should be a theme to your membership. It's not just like, come on, come one, come all. Like it's, what is this membership doing? Why is it here? Right. And then with your membership, you would have to decide like anything, is it open enrollment? Can people join whenever they want? Are you going to open and close the doors like we do for Empower? What does it look like for enrollment? How are you creating urgency? How are you getting people inside of it? And then of course, like pricing and stuff, you want to think about that too. Are you going to do any sort of bonuses or incentives? Like if people pay for a year in full, is there a discount? Are you giving them X amount of months for free? Or is it just a payment plan? Are you having different tiers of your membership? Is there any one-on-one component? So really thinking about like the deliverables there, but ultimately you're going to create the vision for the problem it's going to solve and the community you want to build. You're going to figure out the deliverables for it. And then like anything, you're going to launch it. And then you can build it later. Once it's built and you have people in it, then you can scale it. So I would say starting less is more. Like even when ours opens up, you're not getting 7,000 programs. It's just not effective. We will add things over time. Like maybe there'll be a book club in the future. Maybe we're going to have like some other cool things in the future I don't want to tell you about, but we're not kicking off with those things because it's also really hard when you start with the kitchen sink. It's hard to take it away. And the trouble with memberships for the leader, a lot of times, is in my experience doing them and having friends who have them, when a membership is low ticket, there sometimes resentment builds up, right? Where you're like, I cannot believe I'm showing up for 4 coaching calls a month and da 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 da, and they're only paying $20 a month. And it's like, well, you shouldn't come out of the gate with everything. start it and then see where your clients are at. What do they want? What are they asking for? Do they really want that training, or is that template more useful for them? So just, I would say, start small and grow it over time. And what we're going to do is we're going to be very transparent. You're going to grow with the club. Like, we're bringing you on this journey. This is a come with me. Let's grow this club together. If you don't want things, I'm not going to put them in. If you don't like things, we'll take them out. But I'm not just going to open it up and be like, here's everything I created over the last 12 years. You should buy it. It's like, whoa, no, hold on. That doesn't make any sense, right? So I hope that's helpful.
Super helpful. Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
have so much to think about.
good. I'm excited. And hopefully we'll see you in the club. I'm excited about that too. Yeah, it's going to be a special place for sure.